You sit down to do something important. You know it matters, but instead you scroll, you delay, you disappear into anything else. And later, you tell yourself the same story. I'm just lazy. But what if that's not true? What if you're not avoiding the task, but something the task makes you feel? It doesn't feel like fear. That's what makes it confusing. You're not panicking, you're just not doing it. You open the file, read a few lines, and suddenly your brain feels heavy. You check your phone, you rearrange your desk, you convince yourself you'll start later. And later becomes tomorrow. Then something else happens. You don't just delay the task, you start questioning yourself. Why can't I just do it? Other people manage this easily. What's wrong with me? This is where it stops being about productivity and starts becoming about identity. Because every time you avoid something meaningful, you quietly collect evidence that you're unreliable. And over time, you don't just feel stuck, you start believing you are the kind of person who gets stuck. But here's the part most people miss. This pattern isn't random. It shows up around specific things. Important conversations, creative work, opportunities that could change your direction. Not small tasks, not meaningless ones. The ones that matter are the ones you avoid the most. And that's not laziness. That's a pattern with a reason. You're not broken. You're not lacking discipline. And you're definitely not lazy. What you're experiencing is a very precise psychological response. Your brain is trying to protect you, just not in the way you think. Because sometimes doing the task itself is not the real risk. Feeling what comes with the task is. So instead of confronting the emotion directly, your brain quietly redirects you toward comfort, toward distraction, toward anything that feels safer. Not because you're weak, but because your mind is wired to avoid emotional pain before anything else. And once you see that, the question changes. It's no longer, why am I so lazy? It becomes, what am I trying not to feel? To understand this, you need to see how your brain prioritizes survival. Not physical survival, emotional survival. There's a part of your brain called the limbic system. It's older, faster, and it doesn't care about your goals. It cares about safety. And it defines danger in a very specific way. Anything that threatens your identity, your sense of worth, or your place in the world. Now here's where it gets subtle. When you face a meaningful task, like writing something important, starting a project, or speaking up, your brain doesn't just see the task, it simulates the possible outcomes: failure, judgment, rejection. And in that moment, it treats those imagined outcomes as real threats. So what does it do? It activates avoidance. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a small shift. You don't feel like doing this right now. That feeling is the signal. Here's a simple mental model. Think of your brain like a smoke alarm. It's designed to detect danger quickly, but sometimes it goes off when you make toast. There's no fire, but the alarm doesn't know that. In the same way, your brain detects emotional risk even when there's no real harm. So it pulls you away. Not because the task is hard, but because the feeling attached to it is unfamiliar or uncomfortable. And over time, this becomes a loop. The relief is important, because every time you avoid the task, your brain learns something. Avoidance works, and that's how the pattern gets stronger. So how do you break something that feels automatic? Not with force, not with discipline alone, but by working with the brain instead of against it.